So you got an active listing, it's live, the photos look amazing, and now it's time to call the probate attorney. This is the moment that can either move your transaction forward or stall it for months. In this video, guys, I'm going to be walking you through exactly how to have a conversation with the probate attorney and position yourself as a professional partner as part of the transaction. Sometimes, guys, attorneys are not the nicest, and I'm going to show you how to make sure your conversation goes smooth. Hey guys, my name is Carolynn Castillo, Probate Real Estate Specialist here in Florida, and I've helped hundreds of probate listings, and one of the biggest mistakes I see agents making is reaching out to the probate attorney or not communicating clearly with the probate attorney. And I'm going to be breaking down my exact process of when I reach out and how I handle the conversation. So one of the biggest things that you want to understand is that when you're working as a probate realtor, you are going to be speaking with the probate attorneys because 9 times out of 10, the house is going through probate, right? So if the house is going through probate, they do have a probate attorney, and the probate attorney is handling the legal portion of that case, okay? So when you are selling that inherited property, you're going to have to coordinate with the probate attorney, maybe for court approvals, maybe for extra documentation that the title company is going to need. So you want to make sure that this goes really smooth. One of the things that I see realtors messing up on is they don't contact the probate attorney. Okay, so they just get the listing, the family's dealing with the probate attorney, you get the listing, you go off to sell the house, you get a pending contract, you show up at the title company, and then the title company's like, oh, well, you need this. And you're like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. And then they contact the probate attorney. And when they're, contacting the probate attorney is not always the happiest guy because you don't even know what his timelines are, what's going on with the court process or anything like that. So today in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I do it so that you can avoid having those relationships with the attorneys and make the whole case go smoother and the transaction smoother from beginning to end. So I typically reach out to the probate attorney once my house is listed on the market, okay? Now, if I have a property listed on the market, that's because I have already verified all the information for the estate, such as who are all the beneficiaries, is everybody alive and well and able to sign closing documents, does everyone agree to sell this property, right? I'm going to make sure all of the basic stuff is adhered to, okay? We're never going to take a listing if the executor says, well, I want to sell, but my sister doesn't want to sell, right? There would still be work to do. So by the time I'm actually alive on the market, live listing on the market, all of those things have already been verified, right? So once I have the listing, I'm going to contact the probate attorney and I'm going to simply introduce myself. Let them know that I'm going to be working with the family on the real estate side of the probate case. And I wanted to just check in with you and see what your timelines are. So number one, you're calling it a calm period. There's not a pending contract. There's no pressure in the room, because that's what I see a lot of realtors doing is they show up to the probate attorney's office like, we need this right now, 911. And then that sets a bad foot with the attorney and just gets everybody in an uproar. So if you contact them once the property is listed on the market and you want to basically find out what their timeline is. So one thing that I've learned from probate attorneys is they all work different, okay? So one attorney, just because you did one case, doesn't mean that the next attorney is going to handle the case that same way. So it's always important that you call and you find out what their timelines are. So you want to ask them, where are you guys at in the probate case? Is there anything that you're missing or that you need from the executor? So this is a big one, guys, okay? Because again, learning from the School of Hard Knocks, where you end up talking to the attorney and they're like, oh, well, we can't do nothing because we've been waiting for like 3 months for this beneficiary to send us their paperwork. We haven't even filed the necessary paperwork to open up the case. And you're like, what? You know, like for us realtors, we would never have that because we're always following up, right? We're always checking in. But the way that attorneys work is they just send out their paperwork and they're just waiting for people to sign. They're not calling and tracking people down like realtors do, okay? So that's a big one, is always ask them like, hey, is there anything that you're missing that you need in order to help move the case forward, okay? And you become a resource for them, right? You help them move. I mean, I do a lot of the little intricacies that cases need. We're missing an address. You know, we don't have an email. This guy hasn't answered the phone, so we haven't been able to verify, right? Like those are little things that you can take off of the probate attorney's desk and you can help your whole case move forward. But you want to basically find out what is the probate timeline. So where are they currently at? And, you know, are you aware that the family wants to sell the property? Sometimes the attorneys don't even get in the conversation with the family, and the family, they never discussed about the family selling the house. So you'll sometimes have to share with the attorney what the situation is because they don't even know the situation, right? So you'll tell them, yes, the family's really eager to sell because there's a mortgage, there's an HOA, the family's not local, they've all decided they don't want the property, so they want to sell as soon as possible. So what is your process? So you're basically calling them at a time when there's no pressure, there's no pending contract, and you're asking them, what is the timeline? So when I do get a buyer, how much time is it going to take for me to be able to go ahead and get a authorization to sell? Or in Florida, we call it an order determining homestead, right? And you're also going to want to find out what other time frames are you going to have to work within. So most states, definitely in Florida, most states have some type of creditor period. So this is a period where any creditors can come forward if the decedent owes them money, right? So typically that creditor period, so like in Florida, we have a 90-day creditor period. So that 90-day period has to be already started before we can get an authorization to sell and to get the final document, which is an order determining homestead, which actually would put the house into the beneficiary's names. The 90-day creditor period has to be completed, right? So you want to find out what are those mandatory requirements, mandatory milestones in the probate case, so that way you can structure the sale accordingly, okay? So then when you get a buyer, someone wants to come buy this property, they're going to make an offer, you've already spoken to the probate attorney, you know, hey, we've got to go through this creditor period. Once we get a contract, we've got to do this. So when you get the contract, you can then effectively communicate with the buyer that, you know, you're going to need this amount of time to be able to close on the property and set everybody up for success. Because that's the biggest thing I see, guys, you know, is realtors not doing that due diligence by calling the attorney. So you end up setting everybody ends up in a hot mess because now the probate attorney is being rushed. Now the buyer is being disappointed because you have to extend, right? But if we set the expectations at the beginning and we find out what is the probate timelines, is there anything that the probate attorney is missing, right? Because like I said, the worst thing is to show up at the pending sale only to find out that the probate attorney is waiting for something that we could have addressed right away, right? And then basically it just handles everything very calm, very professional, and you're able to work on stuff while you're waiting for a buyer. Okay, guys? So don't be intimidated. The other thing I want to say about probate attorneys is, when you contact them at this stage, they're normally not, that spicy, okay? But when you contact them at the pending stage and now you're rushing them, they can be pretty spicy. So even if they come off a little brash, I think that's just like an attorney thing. Us realtors, we're very like, hey, how you doing? Oh, awesome. But attorneys are just kind of like that stern, personalities. So don't let it catch you on the wrong way. Just be professional, introduce yourself, identify the timelines that they're working along, and be a resource to them. Find out if they need anything from you so that you can help them move forward, okay? So guys, I hope that this helps being more confident in reaching out to probate attorneys, being more proactive, reaching out to them at the listing stage. And if you would like to work with me directly and learn exactly how to work with probate attorneys with confidence and clarity, the links are in the description. Book a call with me. Let's set up a one-on-one meeting and how I can help you dominate in probate real estate. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.